In this quick video, I want to show you a general overall concept of how to set up your Blink Video Doorbell system and talk a little bit about the sync module that you should have with it. It's fairly simple to do. Now, if you want like a nuts and bolts, detailed step-by-step, this is not your video. I'm going to give you a general overall concept. So right now I don't have my motion detection on. If I did, this would turn blue. The little light up here would turn blue. So when you're setting up your Blink camera, before you mount it on the front of your door, there's a little QR code on the back of it. So the only thing you have to do is you just hit that little green X on the upper right of your app, and then you hover your camera of your phone that you're going to have the app on over that QR code. And you're also going to do the same thing with the sync module. You want to make sure that it's 48 inches from the ground, so you just get you a tape measure and approximately 48 inches. As you can see here from the snapshot, it gives a pretty good view and it's pretty broad. If you have a question, if someone could just easily take this off, no, they'd have to, there's actually a little door here to a screw that they would have to actually come underneath. And of course, to use it, the only thing you have to do is just click on it, and it's got the chime. And what should happen is you should have an indicator that comes on to your smartphone, and make sure that you have that on there in case someone rings it or in case you have motion detection on. Alright, so if we go inside my house, you can see in the back here I have my Blink camera set up here. So I have two Blink cameras going on at the same time. Yes, you can have motion detection set up at your doorbell and not in your house. So if I open up my app here, you can see in my Blink app I have both cameras. On the very top is inside, and then right here shows my doorbell. It sees the little man running here, shows if I can have it armed or unarmed. So if I click on here and then I just hit motion detection here, and see there it lit up green. So now my motion detection is working on my outside, but on my inside it's not on because I'm inside. Now you can have your sync module set up anywhere in your house, preferably near your Wi-Fi or where your internet is, and just plug it up to any wall. And you have to have this in order to have the doorbell. And just like with your doorbell, you're going to enter that QR code on the back of your sync module. And by doing that, you just hit that little green X on your Blink app again. And then on the very back, you're going to see a QR code here underneath my thumb. Now, you do not have to have the sync module in order to have the camera in your home, but you do have to have this independently with your doorbell. Unfortunately, your doorbell will not work. And the reason that is because your doorbell itself is getting connected directly to the sync module to get Wi-Fi. It doesn't have the Wi-Fi in the doorbell itself. However, you want a sync module because that way you can store any clips that come onto your camera and not have to pay monthly for the cloud for Blink. You can just use this sync module and that will record all your recordings. So you want this anyway. And if you don't have a sync module, I'll put a link in the comment section where you can get one off of Amazon, brand new. As you can see here, I have a USB storage disk that's in there, and that will basically store any clips that I decide to keep or temporarily. I got 2 gigabytes here, but I'd recommend you just get any, like a 16 gigabyte or 32 gigabyte USB. They're cheap now, and you have to have that. And as soon as you plug that in on your phone, you have to go into the Blink, and it's going to ask you format that USB. You just click format, it'll format, and then it'll show that you're ready. So the good thing about our Blink doorbell system with the settings, you can set it in order to not have it to come on if it sees cars. It could do it just motion, and then there's a grid that you can go into that will highlight areas that you want motion detection to be seen and motion detection that you do not want. I want the motion detection to come off if it sees anything right here. However, I do not want motion detection over here in case someone's walking their dog, or if there's a car or something that walks by. I don't want it to trigger me to get annoyed with motion detection. So I have my grid here to where it just detects if someone comes right up to my door and it'll let me know. Okay, so that's the general overall concept of how it works. If you have any comments, put in the comment section. And like I said, I'll put a link to where you get that sync module off of Amazon. I'd highly recommend you get one anyway, even if you don't have the doorbell and you just have the security camera. That way you don't have to spend money to get like a cloud every month, to pay every month to have recordings clipped. You just pay that one-time fee to have a sync module, and then you have your recordings. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe.